What's up, everybody? This is Garrett Stark, and this is my short story called I Can't Breathe. It's a response to everything that's been going on in the news lately with dealing with racism. Um, our main character is he's anonymous, he doesn't have a name, and his race is unknown and is set in the future, so keep that in mind. So, this is I Can't Breathe by Garrett Stark. Creeping by my dirt-covered window, I thought I saw my savior. He wore a black uniform and looked fit to the point of indestructibility. I watched attentively with the hope that he would fix all of life's problems. Yet he spoke into the device on his shoulder and shot into his gliding object with the help of his fireproof work shoes. While he prepared for his flight above society's skulls through the neighborhoods of hopeful safety, I ran out of my cigarette-scented house as fast as I could. The door didn't shut behind me gracefully because of its lack of support that I have not been financially capable of working with. But I worried little as long as he didn't hear. His lack of attention did surprise me. He didn't notice any of my movements as I shot across my lawn. Maybe his eyes and ears were locked on something more desirable, a catchy tune or the hot neighbors in the obvious red light section not too far away were potential options. When I approached his glider, I had to, try to get my screen to work. When I approached his glider, I had to grab the nearby leafless tree and propel myself onto his transportation device. I needed to feel safe for a moment, and if that meant sneaking with society's protective net, then that is what I was willing to do. As the glider gradually rose into the air, I wasn't a bit nervous. I had hacked a ride many times on the vehicles of a couple of neighborhoods away. I was envious of the vehicle's glimmer as I rode them many times. The smoothness of the transportation as they glistened through the air high above the bumpy roads made me wonder when my chance for success would come. Nobody ever noticed my riding because I was able to hide at just the right angle away from the rearview cameras. Sneaking places with the hope of not being noticed was my specialty. Mother always taught me to watch out for myself in a society of cruelty and injustice, and sometimes that meant being a slithering snake. As we flew, my shirt shook aggressively in the wind because it was too large. I wanted to take it off because it was destined to tap my face, but I didn't want to get arrested or a ticket for indecent exposure if caught. The ride was smooth, no shock there. I began to ponder on the possible lack of patience a cop may have. Everyone around him flew slowly, some below the limit, so I was sure he was wanting to flash his lights just to get people out of the way. We're human here. When the cops aren't around, infinite amounts of laws are broken. When one realizes that they have the chance away from watching eyes, they take advantage. Maybe that is why so many are slow. They know their risk can't come forth and be exposed. Sounds from the inside of his glider projected clearly. I heard the person on the other end mention a well-known neighborhood. Every time this name was mentioned, people assumed the worst. Maybe it was the history of the area. Maybe it was the look and atmosphere. I don't know. Possibly people can't prove the validity behind their fears and why staying away is necessary. The officer whooped his glider to the left and flew way above everyone gliding before I could hear the rest of the message. Now I was afraid of not knowing what to expect. Could he be afraid too? Could our officer know what he was getting into? Wanting to hear what he was saying, I placed my ear closer to the metal exterior of the glider. Yet the wind blocked everything out. My hands shook with the wind and nerves. I wanted to let go at that point. Being on the ground in familiar territory proposed this vibe of belonging that I found so much comfort in, but it was too late. The neighborhoods below me depleted in value with every block, from two-story white, brown, and red houses to one-story houses that all looked the same with the exceptions of being sanitary or insanitary. I knew we were getting close. The call to the police station was from a local clothing store where a young man was seen stealing socks. I knew nothing about the person, but maybe the officer did. That was my hope. Maybe he could talk to the guy and give him a quick fine so we could get out of there. There was no need for us to stay long around this area. No need to question too much. Just fix the problem and move along. As the glider slowed down, I began to hear the police officer. My body shook as I clamped onto the vehicle for dear life. I felt no safety on the outside. I wanted to jump into the glider and hide, but I knew I would get caught. Either way, I had made a mistake. In a matter of minutes, another police glider pulled up. Both officers flew a little until they saw the guy. They approached him, their hands by their belts. I waited patiently. Seeing what was going on was difficult. I could only see bits and pieces as I was afraid to be noticed. I didn't want to possibly be dragged into what was going on. My head peeked here and there, but so much was missing. All I knew was in minutes someone was dead, as I saw a corpse on the ground after the sound of gunshots. The surrounding people were screaming a want for justice. Evidently, they had been watching from their windows in neighborhood areas of social gathering. The officers looked petrified. I swear I saw one of their shirts ripped in the front lower part, but I couldn't tell as the sun had gone down and their black uniforms made seeing them difficult in the night. The most important thing I recall is eventually realizing that my own safety might be in danger, as the public wanted to kill the officers. Without cops, I could not feel safe. That moment of terror shook my world as I saw the rioting people and the fleeing cops. All I knew to do was jump into the glider. As the cops entered their vehicles, people began throwing rocks at surrounding objects, trying to hurt those I adored. A part of me felt safe, but I started to wonder about the power these two men had. The power these two men had, along with the power of society's members. Was I safer in the car or outside? Was there true safety? Who was my protector when those meant to protect me were going to have to focus on protecting themselves? From this distinct moment, my society fell. I had the chance to say something, but I didn't because I only knew a piece of the story as if I weren't there. There was no way for me to know everything that happened, and my ignorant viewpoint would only make matters worse. I was nothing more than another person who possessed an opinion that lacked competence for a lack of true understanding. For the next few months I couldn't breathe. Every step of life felt like suffocation. Around every corner, society and cops made me feel like every breath would be my last. Fortunately, I'm still here, even though it's tough. At this point, as chaos overwhelms my country, the most important lesson I am learning is to learn from others because my own lungs are deflating with the trust of just myself and my own knowledge. With that in mind, I must ask that whoever reads this, can you help me learn to breathe? Better yet, can you teach my society to breathe for the first time? So, the end. That was I Can't Breathe by me, Garrett Stark, or Garrett Stark Baldwin. That's the name that I've been going by lately. So, anyway, if you could please tell me if this sounds good. If it is good, which I hope it is, please share it with the hope that maybe it could help people today in our society to realize that, I mean, we all have our viewpoints, but we got to learn from each other. And we got to work together to fix things because, I mean, right now things are going downhill. Let's just be honest. So, anyway, thank you for listening or reading this story, and have a good day.